podcast is presented by the Education Department of the United Supreme Council, ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, Prince Hall affiliated, Northern Jurisdiction, USA Incorporated. My name is Grand Inspector General Gary Smith, and I serve as department head for the consistory education of the United Supreme Council's Education Department. The Moving Podcast is designed to educate, to inform, and to provide information across our audience, as well as to discuss important issues that affect our membership. So without further ado, it is my honor and distinct pleasure to introduce the host of the Moving Podcast, Sublime Prince Stephen Barrett. Sublime Prince Barrett is the Commander-in-Chief of Peninsula Consistory, number 44, the Valley of Lansing and the Orient of Michigan. Now, he also is a valuable member of the United Supreme Council Education Development Department. Sublime Barrett, the floor is yours, sir.
All right. See, this is why you have great friends around you. I was excited, like, who is he talking about? Like, you know what I mean? That's me. This guy right here, right? But no, I am super excited about this podcast and this episode that we're gonna have for our third installment. Like I said, my name is Sublime Prince Stephen Barrett, and I have the distinct honor and pleasure of getting ready to introduce our panel of guests. Now, this podcast is going to be something monumental because we're going to be learning more about the Golden Circle. And without further ado, I would love to be able to introduce our actual panelists that's going to be here. So I'm going to go through and walk through their names so that you know who to give kudos to at the end of this. And so we want to give it up to past state Grand Loyal Lady Ruler Gail Freeman out of the Orient of Michigan. Right. Past state Grand Loyal Lady Ruler Yvonne Duhart out of Ohio. Loyal Lady Secretary Patricia Poole-Crawley out of Canada. And past state Grand Loyal Lady Ruler Martha Davis. And so without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to have a lot of fun here. We're going to go through a couple questions. And again, I have to thank these beautiful young ladies here for being here with us and being able to allow us to have a fun time. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off jumping right into it, right? So we're going to go through here. I'm going to bring everybody on screen so that you can kind of see us and interact with us, right? And this is just us sitting at home having fun, going through this. Now, jumping right into it. Want to ask you all here is, can you discuss a little bit about the history, origin, and the inspiration for the formation of the Order of the Golden Circle for us?
I believe that's my cue. I'm Patricia Poole-Crawley from the Orient of Eastern Canada. I've been a member of this wonderful organization for 17 years. This week, actually, was my anniversary. And briefly, the history of the Golden Circle harks back to 1907. And it began because you gentlemen needed us. You were on the road traveling all over and you're bringing your wife along, but there was nothing for her to do. So it began by inspiration of the social interaction for something that ladies can be involved with who were traveling with their husbands who were in the Supreme Council. And one of the key things at the time was the distinction between a southern jurisdiction and a northern jurisdiction. And of course, they finally got that sorted out. It took a while because different United Supreme Councilors, sovereign grands, had issues. But anyway, as always, the Prince Hall family, we got it right. And that's all I could say about that. And ultimately, the northern jurisdiction was formed with the Order of the Golden Circle, and each Orient in the northern jurisdiction had established state grand assemblies, which represented or were the head of all the local assemblies and or subordinate assemblies throughout the land. And so that all came to place about 1910. It's when that finally came into fruition. And as I said from the outset, as in our Prince Hall family, most all of our houses have a female auxiliary. And the same thing is what happened with the Order of the Golden Circle. The gentlemen needed us. we were not only beautiful and pretty, but we brought stuff to the table. And we're still here and loving every minute of it. Thank you.
No, that's awesome. I'm gonna tell you something. Look, everybody's gonna see this, right? I'm married. Literally half the stuff I do, if you say it's amazing, it's 9 times out of 10, my wife has had something to do with it.
Thank
So
you.
I'm going out here letting you know. And that many people are gonna ask, right? There's gonna be some individuals of the United Supreme Council say, hey, I have my spouse here. They might be interested. So question like how does one become a member? Like is there like a bloodline, kind of like how we have it like in the ancient craft masonry? So like is there specific requirements like only a wife, widow, mother, things like that? So like kind of what is some of the nuances or what are some of the things we have to do to let people know like how they can be a member?
Brother Barrett, that's a good question because you just said that your wife, is she a member?
Not yet.
Okay, this is a good segue right here. She's not a member. We're looking forward to meeting her as one of the lower ladies, okay? So it's no reason that she cannot join. However, as far as the female joining, the bloodline, you know, back years ago, it was they had to go through the Masonic, the men. Right now, it's open where they can be through the men by a wife, a sister, a daughter. Not only that, if they belong to the order, the Eastern Star, if they belong to the Order of the Eastern Star or the Herons of Jericho, and in good standing now. We don't want just everybody coming into our, our golden circle because, we're special ladies, okay? So if they're in good standing, they're able to join the golden circle. So they can go through their husbands, okay, the bloodline, but they also through the Order of the Eastern Stars or the Herons of Jericho, and they can become a member with us. Our goal here is to ask the brothers when they join the order, if they would, let us get an application to their wife to join with us or their daughter. But that is one of the ways that a couple of the ways that they can join the order.
And that's awesome. And that brings back up to something that was stated earlier by Lower Lady Secretary Poole-Crawley and reiterated by Grand Inspector General Tyrone Hampton. He told me everywhere he went, his wife and his kids went with him. So when you're doing something like that and you have that opportunity, you have that connection, it's just a different bond. And I do see it flourish, those relationships who have it together. It's different than the ones who don't. Let's call it what it is. And so again, you said it, hit the nail on the head. Like, we need you. Again, I'm on this platform right now saying, hey, I need my wife. She helps me out a lot. So it's great. And thinking about it too, and looking, and as I was doing some research and I see these your names now, I have a personal question because I want to make sure I'm respectful too as well. Can you all let me know kind of like how the officers of the assembly, because that's what it's called, an assembly, right? How are they styled? Like, what are the titles? What are the positions that are entailed? One, so I'm being respectful. I don't get in trouble after I hang up. Gary doesn't have to call me, right? And then two, just so that people know that when they see these things, they know who they're talking with. So can you lay a little bit of light into that too as well?
Well, that's really easy, really. People look at our titles and they say, what's a loyal lady ruler? What does that do? Well, that's really our president. We have a loyal lady ruler who is the leader of our assembly. We have a loyal lady associate ruler who is her assistant. The loyal lady priestess, that's our chaplain. She leads us in our prayers and our devotions and makes sure that we're doing things the biblical way that is correct. We have a loyal lady guide who escorts our visitors in and out. We just don't have people walking in and out of the assembly room, just like the lodges, the same thing that you have people at your door. We have people to escort through our facility as well. Then we have a loyal lady standard bearer. She holds the standard. She keeps the symbol with the dove. That's in her possession. So she always has that when we're having a meeting. Then we have our loyal lady herald. She makes proclamations at the altar so that if we have to have something proclaimed to all the members, and she's able to do that. Then we have our two loyal lady guards. We have an inner guard and an outer guard. They alarm the door and let us know when there's somebody outside that wants to come into the building. Then, of course, you have a secretary and treasurer. So those are our basic officers for our assembly. It's just like a sorority. You know, you got the male sorority and a female sorority, and they all have officers. Everybody got a title. We have the same thing.
And that makes it easier too. Thank you for explaining too. So as I interact with individuals, one, like you said, you give the proper just due for the people who worked extremely hard to get to where they're at, as well as kind of who to ask or who to look for too. Because if we want somebody to get a petition or something, we're like, hey, let's find the secretary, right? Like it's
That's
the
right.
same structure, it's the same way that it works. So what ends up happening is we're able to learn these different structures. Now, I do have a question, and maybe it's diving a little too much, but I want to know, I want to understand. What are some of the elected, what are like the elected officers, and then who are some of those that are appointed too as well? Like that would be something that is a distinction that kind of helps out. So if we can answer that question too.
Okay. The elected officers, effective June the 3rd, 2021, under the direction of the illustrious Sovereign Grand Commander, illustrious Dr. Melvin J. Basemore, the State Grand Law Lady Ruler appoints a Law Lady Outer Guard, or the Law Lady Ruler in the local assembly appoints a lady to the outside, which is the Law Lady Outer Guard.
Yeah.
And then all line positions must begin outside the door and then continue through the east in either the state grand or the local assembly. And to proceed to the state grand assembly line, you must be a past Law Lady Ruler in your local assembly. The Law Lady Secretary and Law Lady Treasurer are elected yearly. And the Law Lady Assistant Secretary is appointed yearly by the state grand or the local Law Lady Ruler.
Now that's interesting. Look, Gary, I saw your ears perk up too. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's a little different. And brothers, as you watch this, like I said, this is pretty awesome. Like I said, learning and digesting some of these things. Because I can see why when you said you don't allow just anybody into this order, you're upstanding. Seeing the process in which you just talked to me too. There's a lot of patience, there's a lot of virtue, there's a lot of hard work, there's dedicated. You ain't just popping up and you now past that grand law lady. Like that's not happening around in these parts, right?
No.
Right.
So again, just giving reverence to those individuals who held that position, and now doing a quick switch because I want to get a little bit more into like the details of the work that you all do. Is there a type of charity work that the assemblies focus on, or is there like a kind of overarching theme, or is it up to each assembly? Like kind of how does the work that you all do on a consistent basis, like how's that kind of set up?
Well, I'll start that off. I was State Grand Law Lady Ruler for the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, whatever. And each of my Law Lady Rulers had selected a particular charity they wanted to focus on. I had one charity that picked a domestic violence shelter, and they furnished toys, baby diapers, baby clothes, and food to a domestic violence shelter. I had another assembly that focused on the homeless, and they provided hats, gloves, scarves, and warm weather items to a homeless shelter. And then I had one that went to a nursing home, and they wrote cards and sat around and had helped the seniors. So it's really up to the Law Lady Ruler and what her individual focus is on. I know Patricia and Yvonne probably have similar circumstances where their assemblies, did different or similar work.
Well, in our Orient, we had one assembly last year during COVID times. They would take like cookies and food to the first responders. When school opened up, they would go and read to the children, give the teachers a break. So we're doing a hodgepodge of everything. We take food to the homeless. During council deliberation, we collected items for women and children. They took diapers to a women's shelter and clothes and toiletries.
And Brother Barrett, as you can see, we do a variety of things. Not only that, we go to the women, that are battered. We go to the men. They have not just our areas, but they have locations where they have to go because they're homeless, they're out there in the cold. And so we collect clothes, and then we also go and help, say, feed the hungry by going and packing the bags and having them come and take it to their homes. We go to the nursing homes. We do a lot of things to help outside the community, not only give the money for Thanksgiving and Christmas. As you can see, we do a variety of that. We adopt families, and we make sure that they're able to feed their family, not just for one day, a couple of days at least. So, you know, we're working all the time, and we're looking for people, other sisters or lower ladies that is willing to come in and lend a helping hand.
I think that's awesome, Gail. One thing that my deputy did last year is that we did an Orient-wide for the food banks, because people always tend to think that the food banks suffer in the Christmas time, but the food banks are full at Christmas. Food banks are low in the summertime when kids are out of school because they're not getting free lunch and they're not eating at school. So food banks are really desperate for the summer. So my deputy charged all of his consistories as well as the Order of the Golden Circle, and we did a huge food drive for the food bank. It was very successful. As a matter of fact, it was printed in the last edition of the Masonic newspaper.
Yeah.
Lower Lady Poole-Crawley,
Yes,
I know that a lot of things that you do in Canada is outstanding as well. Would you share some of that with us, please?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
Good question.
You know, sometimes you just have to deal with what you have, because we're small, and not only that, our territory of Eastern Canada covers Ontario and Quebec. So we have freighters all over the place, and the women who belong to our loyal Golden Circle as well. One of the things that came up that we do to raise funds so we can help others, and this was primarily for our scholarship and bursary program, is called a shoe rally. And what it is give an inch for every pinch. You know, so if you wear a size 9, we expect you to at least have $1 for every inch of your foot. And we've been doing that for years to raise, and it works. And it came out of my sister-in-law's church down in Albany, New York, by the way, which is a good idea because it's easy. All you have to do is put a label on an envelope, send it out, and have the person say, okay, I'm a size 10, boom, $10, you know, and it all comes back. But
that's an awesome idea
too, is because we're such a small group of people here in Southwestern Ontario, Quebec, is we have the same people in all the houses. So when we're working, we're all working together for whatever the cause might be. And we do an outreach program at one of our local churches where we feed a hot lunch to needy and homeless people. We do donations, and we furnish school supplies to one of the schools or a couple of the schools in areas where the parents primarily are immigrants, and they don't have what they need for their children, and they don't have the means to provide it, but we do. Some of our ladies knit hats and toques and whatever, and we are out buying supplies all year long so these kids can have backpacks and everything that they need to go to school. And that's one of our key endeavors. And again, the people who are doing that are the Golden Circles, they are Eastern Stars, their daughters, and whatever, but we all are working together to help others in our community. Plus, we give to charities too, you know, dementia and Alzheimer's and diabetes and all that. You know, we all do what we can for our community.
You know what? It sounds like you all are doing a lot. And one thing that, as I was listening, what comes to my mind, and hopefully, if I'm wrong on this message, please correct me. But for those people who are not members or people who may been in and kind of stepped away, from what I'm hearing is this is a very customizable and a very unique and very open to ideas. Like, I'm just hearing multiple areas of where we're doing a lot of service. So me being on the outside is like, well, they'll do what impacts my community. So hopefully I'm saying this correctly. Like, if people like come join the Loyal Ladies, because as you can see, the various different service projects they're doing, like, I'm pretty sure you can find something that fits what's passionate for you. or
Mhm.
bring them an idea or borrow one from here. I'm the commander in chief, so do not get surprised all of a sudden if you hear like a pinch and an inch. I don't know. It might come somewhere. I don't know. We'll figure it out, right? I'll give the proper credit where, and I'll give the just due. So do not worry about that, ma'am. I will 100% give you the credit, but something simple, right? Also, too, I just because again our foundation is charity, I want to highlight something they said too for the food banks. If we're doing something in our community food banks, it truly is in the summertime. It is a little bit harder, so keep that in mind. For other loyal ladies and the fratters that are watching this right now, just keep that in the back of your mind. If you can help out during that time, definitely do. But segueing on here now, I'm gonna ask a question. I don't know, I might get in trouble for it, I might not. Who knows, right? We'll figure that out later, right? But I want to know, like, what's the meaning of the dove within the golden circle, right? Like, I see the image, so I'm gonna take my shot at it, right? To see kind of
That one back there.
yes, ma'am. You see,
Well, we knew that you would come about that, and that is a good question as far as the dove in the circle. The dove within the circle signifies hope and peace, and it shall reign always within our precincts. The circle, it signifies endless unity and love, peace and unity. Just as if you have a ring, that ring never ends. Correct?
yes,
So
ma'am.
it is an ongoing circle that never breaks. And we have a lot of love within our organization.
Oh, and this is ironic. So, fratters, as you see, at each stage we have rings. Like me, I have a 14th degree ring. Illustrious Gary Smith got another one, a big boy one. You know, I don't have those, right? So, but we all have rings, and it's because it's a universal message. And so
Mhm.
hearing about this, I'm learning about it right now with you all. And just hearing you speak about it, I can hear the love, I can feel the peace. It sounds like even before we started this podcast, right? Y'all were talking together, and I can it can tell like you've been in the trenches with each other for a long time, right? And so,
boy, have we ever.
Mhm.
right, like so,
Well, our working group, we've been in the trenches for a while, haven't we?
We
Yes.
have. We
Yes,
have.
we have 22 of them, and believe me, they work. They
And-
have a purpose that the sovereign put out there, and we are really adhering to that purpose. And just to throw that in, even though we're not talking strictly on the 22, the purpose was to identify the key initiatives that would enhance the Scottish Rite experience and bring interest and excitement for all members of the Order of the Golden Circle. And we use the slogan, it's a marathon and not a sprint. So
Right.
we as the 22 are out there trying to help unify all of our orients. We have 23 orients and over, I think it's about 2,000 ladies. So we are really trying to adhere to what our sovereign has asked, and they are very appreciative to be able to be like on this podcast, and also to be involved with things that he's asking us to do. And we're trying to get the books together. And that's why we as the 22 are trying to unify and do as what our sovereign has asked us to do.
You ladies are doing a phenomenal job. And like I said, thank you, because I asked you to teach me, and you've done more than do that. You inspired me. There's some things that you talk to me about that are really passionate about. And I hope that as other individuals are watching this at whatever time, it could be tomorrow, the next day, a year from now, because we're going to keep this for a very long time. Hopefully they can resurface this up, get engagement, get excited, and hopefully, like I said, some more people join, some people come back, and some leaders get inspired, because that's our goal. Like, this podcast is called the Moving Camp Podcast because the things that we have to fight against that's holding our people down has to evolve over time, right? As new challenges come up, we have to figure out how we're going to face them, how we're going to jump over them. And so, like I said, I sincerely want to say thank you so much for all of y'all being on this call. I had us in a gallery view because I wanted all of us talking together. So I know when they replay it, it might be kind of small. You might not be able to see everybody, but I want you to feel the love and feel the energy between everybody. And I felt that we're creating this relationship. So again, I want to say thank you so much to each and every loyal lady that's been on this call here. I'm gonna turn it over to illustrious Gary Smith to do a wrap up really quickly, and then I'll crack one or two bad more jokes, and then we'll get out of here.
So thank you to our ladies on behalf of our director, Dr. Dwayne Thomas. He wants to send his greetings and thank you. And I know you've gotten some emails from him already leading up to this. And he wanted me to tell you thank you for your patience, but most importantly, thank you for delivering, because what you all have done tonight, it's going to affect, it's going to educate the freighters of the United Supreme Council. And I will tell you that, we were very intentional in bringing this august group on, because look here, we got Michigan. I mean, because it matters who you bring on. And so we just don't stovepipe and we get one area of the Northern Jurisdiction Empire. We tried to be very intentional, and the presence of our Michigan representative, our Sister Freeman out of Michigan, and then Sister Duhart out of Ohio. And then we got Sister Poole-Crawley out of Canada. And then Sister Martha Davis out of Washington and Oregon. And while we didn't have Colorado, Wyoming, and Utah, the other Sister Davis, but hopefully next time we capture that. But we were very intentional. So I just want to say thank you all. Thank you all. And and to the freighters who will be able to see this, education is a big thing. Our leader, the illustrious Sovereign Grand Commander, Dr. Melvin J. Bazemore, he came on and he told us when he took over, he said, I want us to be united in service and in commitment, and that goes a long way, with education and what we try to have established within this body. And it would be fitting, we just honored a great legacy this week in and none other than Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he made a statement about education. He said that intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. Intelligence plus character is the goal of true education. Dr. King told us that. And if you think about where we have established, this is to all the freighters, our mission statement, that Dr. Thomas, he's constantly, every time he's with us, he makes us repeat this thing, and he's so repetitive in understanding our mission statement, because I thought that quote by Dr. King goes in hand. Our mission statement is to promote education, develop freighters of intellect and integrity, cultivate the leadership potential of all the freighters, enrich the lives of the freighters through outstanding service and support, which parlays into our vision, that every day that we get up and we go to work, how do we better this body and our education? Our vision is to be recognized as a premier service department of the United Supreme Council, providing meaningful education and promoting the lifelong learning, which is to enrich the lives of our freighters through education, and as by byproduct, continue to contribute to the betterment of society. And that's what education does. That's what Dr. King was alluding to, intelligence plus character, which is the goal of true education. And so I think what we've done here tonight, we brought our ladies on, the Golden Circle. We are educating our freighters who have so many questions about, hey, tell me about the order, the Golden Circle. I got a wife home here and she's very, she wants to know, but I don't know what to tell her. And so we got to start tonight. And we're going to build that bridge. And so I thank you all, and I'm looking forward to see you all in Wisconsin this year at our body. And let's see if we can put our recruiting numbers through the roof. And I would say, our next session, as we do this every month, we try to make each one better, and we try to put things out there to what the body wants to know in our education. So Sublime Prince, Barrett, back at you, sir.
I appreciate it so much. And this is, I'm going to be on camera saying this. Somebody that believes that friendship is essential to the soul. I'm gonna agree with you right now. I'm like, hey, you're in my book, Gary. You're already in my book. But no, he said everything. And one, I want to thank you all for joining this, the third episode of the Moving Camp podcast. Again, hopefully you've been inspired. Hopefully you've been engaged, and hopefully you go out and just tell somebody like, hey, let's take a look at this thing that they got going on over here. So again, without further ado, we're going to sign off for now. Till next month, everyone have a blessed evening.